Once again, welcome back to the Empty Space Inbetween podcast. But on to today's episode, and it's kind of a sidestep from electric cars.
Yeah.
And it's to do with self-driving cars.
Imagine going on a 5-hour journey in a car that you know you've got to drive it, but being able to get like 3 hours of work done, or being able to watch the match.
Should false advertising of your self-driving capabilities be clamped down on?
And we know that there's engineers, software developers, mathematicians, data scientists behind the scenes and coding it. Are we just all giving them the power to make the ethical decisions?
Once again, welcome back to the Empty Space Inbetween podcast, episode 8.
Hello everyone.
That was very theatrical. That a lot of
That was the
pauses, a lot of waits.
Most theatrical I've ever seen you be.
Just in 26 years of existence.
Normally just hello everyone, welcome to Empty Space in Between. Moving on.
Yeah, well, apart from once when I was a kid, this is a fucking funny story. Because you wouldn't picture me doing it. So when our school, they must have been trying to do like a cultural kind of exposure type thing.
Yeah.
So our school was like selected to do a thing at the Brindley, but it's to do with like Indian dancing and stuff, right? So like
you did not get on stage, lads. You are
proper,
not that guy.
Proper in front of the Brindley, like 400 people. Like giving it Indian dancing moves,
the balls.
like you know, honestly, I had like a little fucking
outfit and that.
I had a pot, yeah. So I was like dancing like a pot on my head and that, running around, lad.
What are the Indian dress called? Like a sari or something?
Sauri, yeah, something like that.
You had a sari on?
Yeah, and it's funny, not because I'm doing Indian dancing, obviously. I can't remember. I was in like year 6.
What, was it one of them things where like you're forced to do it?
Well,
like everyone in the class was doing it, or was it like hands up, who wants to do the dance?
It was like so many people were selected from the...
And you were selected, yeah? You must have had talent, lad.
I was a mover.
You must have had natural moving ability.
Imagine picturing it me now, trying to... I can't dance now, I'm rigid.
I used to hate it, lads, when like got to Christmas in school, and it would be like, we're doing a fucking nativity. Oh, lads, little 5-year-old, 8-year-old Sam, lads. I'd be looking at the teacher like, fuck off, man, no.
Can't be
asked
getting
the
involved.
Kids, lads, who love all that, lad. They love drama, they love singing, and fucking
giving
like...
it the bifters and that.
Oh, lad, they'd be like, Miss, can I be Mother Mary? Miss, can I be the fucking 3 wise men? Lad, just 1 year, lad.
Put me as a star in the back.
Lad, I'm just happy holding the fucking star, lad. Lad, I was a wise man once, man, lad. I come to fucking with frankincense, lad, whatever the fuck it's called, lad. I don't remember, lad. I was in like the corner of the fucking hall, and obviously you're a kid, you're not an actor, and like the teachers had like fucking
Lad, the teachers took it so serious, like James Cameron.
Yeah, lads.
Like,
and like the parents are watching, and like I was just standing with this like box of black gold, lads, and she was like, come on, wise men, come on.
She had a fucking headset on, not plugged
lads,
into
you'd
anything.
like walk in front of the crowd, and you'd be like, there's me ma, there's me dad watching, and you'd be like, we've come with gifts for baby Jesus. Hail baby Jesus, hey! And you'd like burst into a song, lads, and I used to fucking hate it. I used to want to die, lads.
Same.
First time I've had suicidal thoughts, I was that age, lad, in that fucking church.
I remember once when we were in year 6, we had to do like a play when we were leaving, and because I had longish hair, I had to play one of the fucking bird teachers who was leaving. So imagine being in year 6, I had to put like I was.
Why not pick a girl, lad? Why are you doing it?
Because I think that was the comedic effect, because there was 2 teachers that were leaving and me and this other lad. So it was like a fucking thing. Right. I think that was the whole point. But I just remember, and they got some girls' shoes who were the same size. And just at that age, being you dressing like, I was like,
nah, lads. We used to have to do choir in our school, lad.
Choir? I think we did,
went to a Catholic school, lad. It was all like,
I never went to a Catholic school.
Praise be your Lord, make sure he helps us, save Mother Mary. And lad, I used to get screamed at, lad.
Because you wouldn't sing?
Oh, lad, it just wasn't in me,
Bad
lad.
man.
Yeah, like, and I ended up doing music, but like, that type of like dramatised pantomime shit.
Oh yeah,
lad.
it does everything.
I used to hate it as a kid, lad.
Who built his house on the sand?
Oh, lad, I used to hate it like the
that
Christmas
shit.
panto, lad, and kids would be screaming, loving it, like, yeah, the panto. And lads, I used to just think, I'm going up and you have to go and see Santa, and there'd be kids who thought it was actually Santa. Like some of my mates would be coming out going like, did you speak to Santa? And I'd be thinking, it's fucking Dave who lives down the road with a beard on,
It's
man.
the fucking caretaker.
It's my dad, he's working here.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
fucking I saw him by the suit.
Oh, lads.
But yeah, so
Anyway.
now we've got the ramblings over. Thank you everyone for getting in touch. We had some good feedback on the first guest episode. So remember we recorded 2 responses to it in the last episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we know it's the good one. So only listen to the good one, not the bad one.
Thank you to Dr. Ian Malabar for being our first guest, man.
We've put a few feelers out now, so we've got defo another guest lined up, but we'll tease that closer to when that, because we're not recording that for a couple of weeks.
Before, we'll tease it, won't we?
Yeah.
A couple of weeks before.
And then we've got a couple other people who are interested in coming on.
Yeah.
So it's all moving, so that should be quite cool. A lot of good content coming up. Another shout out before we get going. I've got 2 actually. The first one, thank you, Ship and Mitre, for letting us have us again.
Standard.
The standard one. I'm actually drinking cask today. Not.
Are you driving?
Keg. Yeah, I only had one before. I'll have that, then I'm chilling in town till later.
Ryan's had about 6 pints today.
Lad, if I'd have had 6 pints, I'd have been getting the train home. You know, don't drink and drive, kids. Unless you've had 5, then put your hazards on.
Yeah, or if you've had 10, park up for an hour and then put the hazards on. And
Yeah, sleep it off.
bad advice, man.
Bad advice. Don't do that.
Oh, good advice, though.
Yeah. It depends on your morals.
Depends on who you are.
Yeah.
Or where you're from.
Exactly. The next point is most people who listen to the podcast on Spotify, YouTube. Sam, would this shock you? They're not subscribed.
Aren't they?
No.
You fuckers, man.
Bastards, man. So,
you fucking bastards.
We've not asked this before, so I think it's only fair.
Yeah,
we'll ask
man.
now. If you like what we're doing, you want to listen to more, as I say, we've got some good stuff coming up. Subscribe on YouTube, give us a follow on Spotify, turn on the notifications so you get notified when...
Don't be using and abusing us, man.
Yeah,
follow us.
I have feelings, you know.
Yeah, subscribe, everyone. Come on.
But yeah, so if you want to hear more, subscribe, let us know, because then obviously we know what we're pushing out to, and we want to try and build it, get more, because obviously then the more, if we can get some more views, we may be able to attract some other guests in, because we're putting some feelers out at the minute, so it might help us get them in. If you like it, subscribe.
Yeah, don't just watch in the ether, man. You know
got the
what I
call
mean?
to action out ready.
To be fair, I've done that loads, man. I've watched the podcast or like a YouTube creator for like 6 months without ever subscribing.
And then I click on afterwards, I'm like, yeah, I've not subscribed to this, it just keeps coming up in me recommended.
Yeah, or like you'll watch a video where they will say, you know, please, we've got 200,000 listeners, only 10,000 subscribe, and you're like, I'm one of them. Fucking 190,000.
No, lad. So it's been a couple of weeks since I've seen you. You've been away?
Yeah, I've been away. I've travelled the great universe, back and forth a good few times in the last week or two. Learned many things. I'm a changed man.
Been on a 2-hour flight to Spain.
I went on a 2-hour flight to Spain. I've integrated with cultures unknown. I've been to the depths. I went to Spain. I had a summer.
Yeah.
I
had a bacon on toast.
Went to Seville. I've never been before. Basically, my mum sent me. So my mum goes away with my dad. Like... No, and my dad's like a bit miserable, and like he likes what he likes. Yeah. So my mum and dad go to Italy every year, and my dad just likes what he likes. So my mum has been wanting to go to Seville for ages, and like he just won't go with her.
Because he's just like, not for me.
So my mum sends me and my girlfriend on all the holidays she can't go on.
She lives vicariously through you.
She sent us to Rome, she sent us to Venice, she sent us to fucking Ibiza, fucking, like, so like she just picks the destination and we go. So she said Seville's meant to be decent, so went to Seville and it was lovely, lad. It's like just a proper ancient town, you know what I mean? There was city, there was Romans there 2,000 years ago. We went to this city called Italica, and it's where Game of Thrones was filmed.
Oh shit, I saw your picture, yeah.
And lads, Game of Thrones was filmed there because it just looks like ancient.
Yeah.
And
it's all ruins and that.
The Romans were there 2,000 years ago. We went on this tour, lad, and they were just so intelligent, the Romans. Like, you can't get your head around how they were doing the things they were doing, and other civilizations were still scratching their head and, like, pissing up walls and that. Like, 2,000 years ago, in this ancient city of Italica, they had sewer systems underground, and everything was, like, calculated. Like, it has to be at this angle for the water to run correctly. But there was other groups of people just still running around like nutcases, like, killing each other. And they were doing a bit of that as well, like, but the sewers they've built connect to the modern day Seville sewer. It was in that good a condition. They didn't have to build a new sewer in this area where the city was.
They just using
theirs. 2,000 years old.
That's so
impressive, lad. And then
so impressive.
Walking around the city, every room in the buildings in the city has got a mosaic, and it's like the best art you've ever seen. And like,
so mad, isn't it?
We've just, like, there's loads of things like that we've lost through time,
through lack of common belief, through drives to improve efficiency,
just
and
the technology.
Just
stop getting, like, the mosaic, the way mosaics are done. We just don't do them like that.
But the point is,
the people that did have gone now.
Well, the thing is, if you were to say, obviously, what I meant by efficient there is if you're building a series of houses now,
it's not efficient.
You don't build your own house.
Room, yeah.
You're not going to put a hand-built mosaic in. You're just going to put fucking laminate down.
Lad. But
they're so good. They look
but
so
like,
sick.
There's another thing that was in the cathedral there, like all the stained glass windows with art in, and like, I don't know if this is true, but like, can we still do that?
Yeah, you can still make stained glass and stuff.
But I know we can make stained glass. I mean, but we're highly detailed art in it. Yeah,
of course you'd be able to. Yeah.
But like, is that?
But the problem is, it's horrendously expensive, so no one's going to pay for it.
I think what was impressive back then as well, like a lot of these big, like the stained glass windows are like as big as a building.
Yeah, they're
and
huge.
Like, you find out one human done it, and you're like, that's so fucking talented.
It's just their life. That's their life's work. They just built this glass window.
That's it, lad. But it was a good holiday. Drank loads of wine, beer,
Aperol spritz.
Yeah, I had a few Aperol spritz.
That is a you drink.
That's a nice drink. Tapas. My girlfriend hates tapas.
What?
Yeah, lad, she's a weirdo.
How can you hate tapas?
Because she said it's like too bitty.
But tapas is just small bits of nice food.
Yeah, lad,
so you have lots of different bits of nice food. I embarrassed myself on the first night, like, proper fat boy thing to do. I turned up and like what the Spanish seem to do in like in Seville is they'll go to a tapas bar, have a drink, and like maybe one or two tapas. And then they'll order more with more drinks in it.
Then they'll order more half an hour later, or they'll move to a new bar.
It's a food culture thing,
yeah.
Innit?
So they might go to 4 bars through the night, and at every bar have a little bit of tapas. So it ends up being a nice meal in the end. But like,
I know what you're going to say now.
I had the first night I turned up, lad, and went like, can I have this? I'd pick like 8 things, like, because I'm just thinking, yeah, get them all on the table.
Because we just eat and then move
we
on.
have the food.
Because eating is like a thing that needs to be done for like in British culture, innit? Whereas as you say in Spain, it's a thing to be enjoyed with the drink.
So I ordered like 8 things, and he went no. And he went, no. He went, you can't have all that. And I went, like, I'm thinking, I'm fucking paying for it, of course I can. And he went, like, you won't. He went, it's too much to enjoy. You know, and he stopped, and he went, just have them 4. But lad, I was so embarrassed. I was like, he's probably just thinking, that fat prick. You know what I mean? Like,
do you want to say what they will have been thinking? That British prick.
Yeah, that fat British prick.
That must be such a
uncultured swine.
Yeah, just that looks good. You've said it's small. Give me fucking loads of it.
Well, lad, I'm sitting in the restaurant and like every plate's got like is tight. They are small, lad. So I'm thinking like I'm gonna need like 8 of them at least to get full. And lad, I can't go drinking if I'm hungry.
No,
because I'll pass out.
Lad, get on this. So I went. Remember, I said I was in Gran Canaria.
Yeah.
So I was in Gran Canaria for like a summer school thing.
I remember you going there.
And before COVID, what they used to do in like the old, so we stayed in, so the thing was in Las Palmas in the north, so not like where Maspalomas is down. That's where like
at the resort.
That's your resort bit, like the Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
So that's where like your tour, like the British tourists and that go.
A lot of hotels with pools and stuff.
Yeah. So in the north, it's all like it's like a Spanish city.
Yeah.
So there's no like there was no sports bar, for example.
It was just what they were living with.
Yeah, because when I first got there, the F1 was on that weekend, and I was like,
I remember you trying to watch it, lads.
And I walked the length and breadth of
your message us going like, I can't find it on.
I was like, there's no sports bar. And then there was one sports bar, and it closed down a year ago. Anyway, so it's all Spanish, no English, and then you're walking around. It was class, because it forced you to just
to delve into the culture,
to be immersed in it, right? So I was there. And what they used to do before COVID, and I'm so upset they don't do it. So in the old town, through the old streets, there's loads of little tapas bars. And what they used to do every I think they said it was every Thursday or one day in the week, they'd have a tapas crawl. So then every bar would offer €1 for a piece of tapas and €1 for a small glass of wine or a drink.
That's so good.
For a small beer. And then you'd have one and then move down to another place. And then another place, for each place you'd spend like €2. And you just have tapas and drinks and just do a crawl through the old town on tapas and drink.
Lad, well, I did a food tour in Seville, lad. I did one. Yeah, so I've never done one before, lad.
That's what I mean, I've never done one.
Do one, lad. If you go somewhere where the food's meant to be good and you don't know what to order. So they take you to like 5 bars and it's like a group of like 10 people. And you basically meet all these people through the night.
Yeah.
So there was like 2 Australians, 2 Americans, me and me.
They're sick then because you just speak to people you never speak to in that
this
one. This
Irish couple and this girl from London. And they just took us to bars and lads, I don't drink wine. But because the wine was getting recommended, like we went to this one place that did think of you and it was like a specialised beer house in Seville. And they had loads of beers. We tried like 3 of them. And I said to my girlfriend, I was like, Ryan, I'd fucking love it here, he'd just sit here all night. But I was drinking wine, like, you were recommending it, and lad, I got bladdered. I don't drink wine, lad. And lad, I was drinking, lad.
Lad, it's different wine, doesn't it?
But lad, what was embarrassing is these people at the table, they were proper connoisseurs of food and drink. And lad, I'm just sitting there, like, didn't have a clue. And like, this woman had sherry. She went, oh, I'll take the sherry, please. And like, she was dead posh. And I was like, go ahead, I'll have the sherry then, whatever that is. And then, lads, it was like this dry, horrible
I've never had
shit.
sherry, but I've heard loads of people say it's horrible.
It was dry, and then, like, but I couldn't say it was horrible.
You gotta drink it.
So I drank it, and I went, like, and then, like, this woman was like, ooh, that's a lovely sherry, wow. The tones are coming through it, lad. I just went, and I just had to shot it, like, because it was, like, horrible. I just went, yeah.
Do you know what makes me laugh about wines? You know when you're in a restaurant, have you ever ordered a bottle of wine in a restaurant?
Don't say when they offer you, do you want to taste?
Yeah. So, for years, I thought they were just going, do you like it? Or do you want a different one? It's the whole thing to taste if it's been corked or something in it.
Lads, yeah.
You're supposed to taste if it tastes like off.
Lads, yeah.
I just thought, and then every time they come over for years, I'd be like, oh, it's nice, I'll have it.
Lads, I was with my mate once, lad, yeah.
Fucking hell.
And fucking, we were with like fucking, we were with like our birds. And I won't name names. And when the guy come over with the wine, like they go like that, don't they? Like, and put the wine in front of you as if like, is this the one you ordered? And then they'll do what you say and like, and you're meant to test if it's like been corked or whatever.
Yeah.
Me mate grabbed it, lad, and went like, and like the waiter went like, and then like he was about 2 seconds with
and they're fighting over
and he went like, what are you doing, lads? And he went, I'm showing you the wine. And like he was this Italian waiter and I went, lads, what are you doing? And he went, oh, well, I just noticed. I went like, he thought he was giving him the bottle, lad. But lad, there was this like awkward 2 seconds when they were both going.
They're just fighting over this bottle of wine.
And like looking into each other's eyes, the waiter's thinking, the fuck's he doing? And lads. Yeah, lads,
I've just snorted.
All that, lad, like, do you want a taste of this, lad? I mean, go ahead, but I have no idea what I'm tasting.
Yeah, this could be the biggest shit, like, this could taste like the worst shit in the world.
Lad, yeah.
No, but I'll say it's nice because I don't know what cork to taste like. Yeah. So this could be, this wine's just shit.
Yeah.
Or...
proper uncultured, lad.
Yeah, but lad, honestly, when I figured that out, I just had a flashback to every single time I'd ordered a bottle of wine and just gone, oh, it's lovely that, yeah.
I mean, you're a beerhead, lad, but even when they go like, do you want to taste it before you have it? And I go like, yeah, and then I have a taste. Not once have I ever went, that's shit. I don't want it. I just go like, well, yeah, because I'm not that into ale.
I remember this one bar, I was being a proper fucking diva, and I must have got through about 5 tasters.
Oh, lad, I'd just say, go away now.
I was like, can I try this one here? I was like, nah, shit. That one there, that ended, like, I was like, that's the end of the barrel, 2 bits. I was like, I don't like it. I was tasting it, and then in the end, I just fuck it. I
can't live with people, lads, who complain. I hate it. It's embarrassing.
So that's not complaining. That's just getting what you pay for.
But like people in restaurants, like they order something and they'll go like, "Excuse me, I asked for medium rare. This is medium, slightly rare." And it's like, the chef's missed out by a little inch there, and they send it. And I'm lads, I could literally order spaghetti bolognese and a piece of salmon and potatoes could come out. I'd eat the fucking
get
fish,
on this for the story. I
wouldn't complain. I'd just go, I don't know what's happened here.
Me and Han were in Krakow a couple of years ago. We're in this place called Moo Moo Steak, lad. It was so me and Han, we got these 2 massive bits of steak.
Yeah.
like side. So you had to order the side separately.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you ordered the steak by weight. It was one of them places, right?
Okay.
Sides separately, load, and then we had about 2 or 3 drinks in this place each. And we got, oh, it's going to be expensive.
Yeah.
Got the bill. So this is just for like context. It was about 40 quid.
It's cheap there.
And we must have had like 750 grams like of stuff.
Yeah.
That's what we all like. New York strip as well. One of the best steak we've ever had. But like 40 quid for that I was like, that's insane. Because we were on wine and beers and like getting bottles of water and that. Because it was like, we'll go out.
Yeah.
And behind us there was this, it was either an American or a Cockney. And the reason I can't remember is I just remember them just being obnoxious, and they're the first 2 people that come to it. It was one of them too.
It was an American or a Cockney.
Right. And he complained like he just paid about 500. So the reason I say about the 40 quid, the way he was going on, trying to get this meal for free, it was like this was like everything he's ever spent in his life. He was like, well, this was bad, and this was bad, and I deserve this for free, and I want it all remade. And then I was like,
get out my face, lads.
And then he was like, I'm not paying for this. And I was like,
who do you think they are?
I was like, lad, at most you're paying £50 here. And
stop moaning.
And even if it is slightly overcooked, this steak's class. And the staff were lovely as well in there type thing.
I can't do it, lads. I can't complain, lads. You could literally bring a dog tears on a plate, lad, and I'd have a go at it.
Just give it a bit.
Through embarrassment,
yeah,
lads.
and you hand it back after I was full.
I'd just say, I'd just go, you know what? Not a bad dog tear, but not for me. And I'd just give it back. I'd go a bit white on top.
Yeah.
It's moulding. And like, I wouldn't even say that. I'd just go lovely. But yeah, I'm full. I'd scram before I come. Like, I cut people who moan, lads.
It does stress me out, to be fair.
I'm creating a list, and it's called Things Sam Hates. And that's the first one on it. People who moan in restaurants, man. Fuck off. That's the first thing on the list. I'll do that every week. You can ask me that every week.
To be fair, though, on the flip side of it, as I say, I used to work in Nando's like 4.5 years. Sorry, we have been rambling here for absolutely ages, but we'll get to it. We'll get to it eventually.
It's just a longer pod.
Yeah. When I used to work in Nando's, if there was genuinely something up with people's meals, I would rather have them. So, there was 2 types of people. There was people who'd complain mid-food. Right, and then I can fix it, and then you have a good experience. So say if you go over, they eat it. Oh,
lad, you're working at Nando's, not Gordon Ramsay's Savoy.
Try telling the people who fucking show up. Honestly, people would show up expecting like 5-star diner service.
You can't moan at Nando's, lad. They cost you 12 quid for half chicken and chips.
Doesn't anymore, lad.
How much is it now?
I'd say average meal then. I was about 20 bones.
Used to be, I used to go with like 13 quid, lad, and get all sorts.
Lad, it's so expensive now.
Yeah.
Anyway. So you'd go and people would complain that the chicken was shit or the sides were cold or something. Yeah. But I'd rather that because I can go fix it, right?
Yeah,
I can give you good food. Then you're going to leave a good review, which means my manager's not going to shout at me.
Yeah.
But then you'd get the dickheads who'd eat it.
And then moan.
And then you'd pick the plate up and go, that chicken was very dry. And I remember this one day I'd had a particularly bad fucking shift. Like it was dead busy. People were kicking off at the time. And this one was like, me sides were cold and me chicken's dry. And I went, what the fuck do you want me to do with it now? Honestly, I just lost my head. I was like, you've left me chicken wing bones and one chip.
Yeah, you've had it.
What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do with this information?
I know what you mean, but in Nando's, lads, you just don't moan. It's Nando's. Just eat your dinner and get off, innit?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So before we actually get on to what we're talking about today, I just want to kind of go as like a footnote to last week's episode number 7, about electric cars. So what this is basically, you know when you have an argument and you get absolutely fucking terrorised, and then you walk off and you think of the best result, but like 2 days later,
the best comeback.
This is this.
Yeah, Ryan, hypothetically, he's been ripped on the schoolyard, and as he's walked away, thoughts are the best.
I thought of the best thing to say,
but has to just walk away with everyone laughing at him.
So I thought of a couple of points when we were talking about electric cars, which like like as comebacks, not comebacks, like, but as thoughts what we were talking about. So
continuation of the talk.
So the first one was this point which we never discussed, but I think is a key one. Is that when we were saying that cars, that if you buy a brand new car now, electric versus petrol, over the 15 years of their life cycle, the car produces less electricity, less emissions. Sorry, but what that doesn't take into effect is like the rampant consumerism that we face in the West. So, how many people do you know who buy a brand new car, and then 15 years later,
I've still got it.
So my point there is, the people who buy these new cars we're going to have to keep up production and ramp up production
because people want
to keep
new cars.
building new cars at the same rate. And as we know, building electric cars is terrible for the environment.
Yeah.
So then there's that problem. I wanted to just put that out.
Well, that's a good point, lad.
Like,
there is a big market for people who want brand new cars every 2 or 3 years.
And it doesn't really care what the car. It's just a new car.
You don't want to drive a 6-year-old car.
It's got to have the best plate. It's got to have a 72 on it.
And then there's people who they mightn't buy brand new, but they never buy older than like a year. They just buy a nearly new car to maybe chop a bit of money off.
Got less than
but they'll
10k
never
miles
buy
on it.
A 6-year-old car and help the environment. You know what I mean? They will buy it's got to be a 2020 or above, say if it was this year, you know what I mean? That's a good point. Lad,
so there was that, which I was like, no, I don't think we've considered that.
In the West, like consumerism, it's all like iPhone. You've got to have the new iPhone.
And then, as you say,
in the culture,
so the people who buy new are the people who are going to ditch the cars after 3-4 years. So they're not going to be the people picking up the bill for the battery replacements as well.
Yeah,
it's going to be the people later on down the line who buy 10-year-old cars.
The people who are going to get stung with the battery replacement bill
are people who can't
afford the battery because they bought the car because it's cheap, because it's 10 years old.
I bought my car for, I think it was 2.5 grand. If I bought that car knowing there was a $6,000 bill coming up, I wouldn't have bought it.
No.
There's that type of thing.
That was one of the issues we said.
So that
new battery price has got to come down for it to be plausible.
So there was that point. I think that was a key point that we missed that I wanted to bring up as a footnote.
Yeah, man.
And the second point was kind of like how just the debate about electric cars in general is about how you, the individual, can bring your like global emissions down.
Yeah.
But we're not, like, people aren't the big issue.
We're a stone in the ocean.
So I had a look, right, and so it turned like about personal cars.
Yeah.
And it turns out that there was the people at a place called Our World in Data. So they looked in 2016, road traffic accounted for about 11.9% of global greenhouse gas emissions.
Yeah.
And then I looked at the International Energy Agency, and they say on average the percentage, so since 1990 to 2022, I think it was, the amount every year the emissions produced by cars has increased by 1.7%.
So that's likely to continue.
So say if that increased and nothing else did, right, we'll work at a bad, like, so when you do the maths on it, it works out between 12.5 and 13% of global emissions produced by cars, assuming everything else stays in the same ratio. Yeah. It's not a lot, that, is it?
No, and we did kind of touch on this the other day, like, you know, in the grand scheme of things, the big push to get electric cars out there, will it actually make any difference if cruise ships and planes and agriculture and, you know, all different methods of destroying the planet still continues? But I think we made the point in the other week as well, like, being better's better than doing nothing.
I agree. I mean? It's just, for me, there seems to be this very big thing about pushing these electric cars, which is going to impact people financially in a way that which I don't think is...
There's a silver bullet narrative, isn't there, as if it's the solution. And
it's going to affect people financially in a big way when your second-hand car comes with this $6,000 looming
price
bill on
tag,
it. Not even price tag, looming additional bill.
Well, if that still exists when all these new laws come in around 2030, it just won't... People won't buy electric cars.
They'll just keep buying second-hand.
Or they'll just get the bus. Like, people won't get a car if they know they've got to spend $6,000 because they don't have $6,000.
To be fair, but then the problem is
how many people can touch $6,000?
But the transport networks are terrible.
You
might not even have the option.
No, I know. But
so it's going to put a lot of people out.
I don't know many people around my age who can put the hand to the side and go 6k.
Yeah.
On 6k.
There's not many people I know.
Maybe you know, older folk who've been in the work.
I'm not one of them.
No, I'm not one of them. I know older folk who are in the 50s, 60s who have worked all their life and can touch it. But 30s, 20s, I don't know many people who can touch $6,000.
No, neither can I.
So,
but yeah, so they were just a couple of points that I wanted to kind of bring that up as a footnote to.
No, good points.
Last episode, because I thought they were quite decent.
Yeah,
discussion points I wanted to bring up. But on to today's episode, and it's kind of a sidestep from electric cars.
Yeah.
And it's to do with self-driving cars. So they've been in the news a bit recently, and I think...
sort of a Venn diagram where they overlap
Yeah,
a
there's
bit,
a lot of overlapping and a lot of not overlapping. So we thought this would be a nice kind of second episode. And then another one that we can kind of put under the category of the big think. Do you remember we labelled that in the last
big think,
one?
hashtag number 2, man, for sure.
Yeah, big think number 2. So it's about self-driving cars. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to discuss self-driving cars, what they are, where we're at with them, some of the benefits, drawbacks, and then also some of these other big kind of, not benefits and drawbacks, but like the kind of philosophical, ethical kind of conversations
arguments around
self-driving cars. So before we get going, I think a good standard for us is what we... so when me and you today say self-driving cars, what are we referring to? Because we'll get onto it in a second, but there are different levels of self-automation in vehicles. So what we've got written down, what we said is... So for when we say self-driving car today, we mean a car or a vehicle that you can sit in, goes from A to B on its own, but it's on a road or a place that has not been adapted or refined or modified in any way for that user to make that car able to go. So what we mean by that, we'll get into a bit later as well, is that a lot of the self-driving stuff out the minute only work on motorways that have been pre-mapped out.
On like pre-mapped sort of
pre-mapped sort of roads that it knows what it's on about. So what we mean is a car that you get in, you have no responsibility. The liability for the car is the cars and the car manufacturers. So anything goes wrong, it goes from A to B just by using
from outside
sensors.
your house and use the public road to be somewhere else. Yeah.
So
it's a car that you can get in out your front door and go somewhere without touching it.
And you could get in bladdered. You could get in watching a film, doing your emails, doing work. You are just a passenger to the machine.
We're not talking about enclosed, controlled roads just for a self-driving vehicle. Yeah, we're talking about every day. What people would think of if they thought of it.
So the reason we wanted to give that definition is the Society of Automotive Engineers. They've got 6 levels of automation.
Yeah.
Everyone knows the 5, but it's like we started at episode 0. There's technically 6. But level 0 is exactly what you think level 0 is.
Is not.
My car.
Yeah.
My own Astra.
It's like a 99 plate.
Yeah, so it's you are the driver and you've got no assists.
Okay, so there's 6 levels to self-driving vehicles.
Yeah, so that self-driving like vehicles and their features can be classified into.
Okay, so level 0 is old banger.
Old banger.
Yeah.
So level 1 is like driver assistance, so a car that has like a single piece of a driver aid, so maybe like cruise control.
And it is one, isn't it? When we look at definitions, it's one single piece of...
Well, as defined by the Automotive Engineers Society of.
Okay, so level 0,
Banger.
2001 Vauxhall Corsa. Level 1 is maybe a 2015 Fiesta with cruise control.
Then you've got partial automation. That wasn't English.
Partial
automation. Partial automation.
Okay, what's that?
So this is a vehicle can perform steering and acceleration. The human still monitors tasks and can take control at any time.
So that's then maybe a modern day Mercedes that has lane assist and
even like going back
control.
to like 2015 Audis. It had this tech along
multiple functions that because like I've been in cars now, Belly, that like go out the lane, it'll pull you back in. If you're getting too close to something, it'll hit the brakes a little bit forward. Yeah, it's got a few technologies.
So this is one. So 0 to 2.
Yeah.
So even though it's the levels of self-driving cars and self-automation, but 0, 1 and 2, the levels aren't classed as self-driving cars. It's classed as driver assists.
Driver assistance, yeah.
So that's basically they'll say, look, if you're at a level 2, your car's not self-driving. And for all the marketing and for all the bollocks you see on the telly, you see from big business, every single car on the road at the minute that you can legally drive, apart from 2 cars made by the same manufacturer, Mercedes, is level 2. So Tesla's a level 2, Ford, Audi, all the rest of it are level 2. So Audi actually have a level 3, but it's not past regulations.
It's not publicly available.
So technically they don't because it's not past laws and stuff.
So anything you can buy on the market today is a level 2 car at most.
Yeah, unless you live in Germany, then you can get like a fucking top end Merc, and then that's level 3.
Oh, okay. So what's level 3?
So level 3 is conditional automation. So it's environmental detection capabilities. The vehicle can perform most driving tasks, but human override is still required. So you can do other tasks. So the one in Germany, Mercedes, they've launched for small sections of the motorway. You can do a lot of things, but you're not allowed on your phone.
So you can.
So you can. So you don't
read a book.
No. So you can use the car's infotainment system.
Okay.
So you know that tablet.
Yeah.
You can do that to respond to emails, watch a film, or whatever, but you can't use your phone.
So what is the big
difference
list?
is?
So is there a big list when you get that? And is it? You're saying the level 3 car that Merc are making at the moment that you can get in Germany is only used on certain roads as well.
It can only be used on certain motorways up to a certain speed.
And there's a list of do's and don'ts of what you can and can't do in the car.
Yes.
So like, don't go on your phone, don't read a book.
So it's not self-driving cars. This is my whole point.
Yeah. So you still need the human to sort of be aware in case.
So we'll skip
if it
ahead.
comes off that road, for example, it needs to take control again.
I'll skip ahead a bit and then we'll go back.
Okay, go on, explain the levels.
So this is kind of like the future development of self-driving cars. So Mercedes is the first manufacturer at the minute to have this level 3 self-driving car. They're the first one to have it approved and meet the legal requirement for a car to be level 3.
Okay.
So what that means as well is that the company at some point has to accept blame for the crash.
Yeah.
Right? However, there are parameters. So if it was a fault of the technology failing the crash, the Mercedes will be fully liable.
Yeah.
If duty of care was not met by the user, so they were not again, if they were being
on
stupid,
the phone.
If they were on the phone, not showing a true duty of care, then Mercedes take no blame at all. But then that really begs the question:
how do you prove?
Not even that. That's not. I don't see how that can be classed as self-driving. That is.
Because you're still going to put the blame on the human.
As I say, going back to our original definition, this is still the driver. How can the driver still be blamed if it's a self-driving car?
Anyway. As soon as you blame the human, you're insinuating that the human was controlling something.
So even if it's a self-driving car,
how
can it be self-driving if the human is still at fault for the fault of the car?
No, you're right, lads, yeah.
So that's where we're at with level 3
level
cars.
3, okay.
Level 4 is higher automation. That's the type of stuff where it just kind of drives on its own. So you've got the vehicle performs all driving tasks under specific circumstances. Geofencing is required and human override is still possible. So what geofencing means is like, so for example, a lot of the tests with level 4 cars at the minute are like Alphabet, so Google's parent company. They're testing a thing called Waymo. Why are they all wanky names?
Waymo.
So I'm just going to go through the names. You've got Navia, Waymo, and Magna. No, Max 4.
Belter, I'm better off after I've known that now.
Anyway, so so for example, Alphabet's Waymo is a level 4 self-driving taxi, but it's limited to certain areas in Arizona.
So it doesn't meet our definition.
No,
it's limited
so it's without a safety driver in the seat. So this is there, but there's potential for human. I don't get that one. But this one is, but it can't be because it doesn't meet the definition, as you said, because it's in a specific location.
So this one doesn't. So level 4 doesn't require a human.
No, but a human can if it needs to. It has the option. So like you could modify your car, for example, to be a level 4. So if someone put all the cameras and stuff on it, so it'd still have the option for the human input.
Okay, so there's a wheel and
but it's basically driven by a computer.
Okay.
But the reason we're not for our definition, it's not self-driving, is because it's in a geofence location. So it can only do it in the small suburbs around Arizona.
So how is I mean, it is self-driving,
but it's not a fully self-driving car.
It's not
because then if you want to go past the geofence, you've got to get out of the self-driving car and
get on a bus
car, and drive yourself.
Yeah.
And then the last one is full automation. That's where you'll get in a car. It doesn't even have a steering wheel, doesn't have accelerator pedals or brake pedals. It's like a little pod, and you're driving, it goes. That is true self-driving.
So when our definition refers to level 5, doesn't it?
Essentially, yeah.
Because we're not talking about. I mean, we are going to talk about all the levels, but when we say self-driving, we mean a car that is described in level 5. It does everything. Not on a particular on a road. Yeah, it can be done on any road, any street, and will get you from A to B, and you can just sit in the back and scratch your ass, basically. Yeah.
Because I think for me, one of the big things about self-driving cars is not even the technology, because the technology is brilliant, which we'll go into in a sec, but it's where the blame lies.
Yeah. That's always the interesting debate.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
So for me, you can't have a self-driving car where the user in the car, the person in the car, can be blamed for the crash. At that point, it's not self-driving.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll get into that again a bit later. So first, like the technology. So how do these self-driving cars work? So they use lots of different technologies. So you've got like LiDAR and radar. So I think we're all familiar with LiDAR.
Yeah.
Radar. LiDAR's the same as radar.
Is it LiDAR the one that gets used in like the Amazon and that to look down? Yeah, so I think they use a LiDAR if there's like overgrown woodlands and they think that the structure's underneath the ground.
Because it uses smaller wavelengths of light. But if it's underground, you won't be able to use LiDAR.
Not underground, but like under shrubbery.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
So it's LiDAR is just radar, but it uses light instead of radio waves.
Yeah.
That's the difference. So you basically use a combination of this type of stuff, and then that's used to detect where objects are and that type of thing. You have sensors and cameras all around the car to be able to essentially allow the car to see and see what's around it and stuff. And then all of this information is brought together using mounds and mounds and mounds of artificial intelligence to basically make it think about what's going on.
So the data is taken from the LiDAR, the radar, the cameras, given to the AI, which can then make decisions on...
Which can make decisions on, if I'm coming up to an intersection...
Indicate.
I'm coming up to a junction.
Oh, yeah, I've just said indicate, but if every car was self-driving, does that have to indicate?
But if it's not, it would have to indicate.
If it was mixed, it would, but if it wasn't, no, there's no indicated... This is the conundrum you're getting into.
So, so you come up to junctions or you're driving around, you see people at the side of the road, you need to classify whether they're a risk, if they're not a risk.
That's what the AI is doing.
Yeah, so the AI is trying to do all these things. It's classifying these things up front. Is that a bike? Is it a car? Is it like a post? So it's trying to classify all these objects.
No, it's Postman Pat.
And it's black and white. So that's what the AI is trying. So it's taking all these bits of information in.
Yeah.
Trying to... I didn't really look too much into the actual individual bits of technology. Kind of went for a highlight one because that is absolutely...
What is that, lad?
Like, I actually thought there was a ghost or something.
Wait there.
It must be the wind coming through a crack or something.
I thought it was seagulls.
For those who can't hear, that may not have been picked up. That sounded like the start of a horror film.
To be fair, I come in here before and I had like seagulls messing about. Like,
yeah, just be... It's wind. It is. Anyway... Back on topic, that was absolutely petrifying. So, one, I don't really know a lot about LiDAR, radar, sensors? I don't say sensors and cameras at the same time. Sensors and cameras and like how they work and the technology behind them. And two, I think if we spent the next hour talking about that technology, it'd be quite boring.
Yeah.
Same. And the AI, well, these companies aren't letting a lot go on what AI
no one really knows because it's a competitive field, isn't it?
So then, the next question, naturally, is where are we up to? Self-driving
in 2023.
Level 2, basically. I think we give the game away before.
Yeah. Fuck.
We're rushing ahead. So I think, so basically everything we have is level 2.
Yeah.
Tesla, even though they go on about it being autopilot, is just fancy driver assists.
Okay.
They had to recall loads of cars the other week.
Tesla did? Yeah. What for?
Because it was shit and it was killing people.
It was killing people.
It had a fault so people could game it, so you could go over the speed limit and use like all the self-driving stuff.
Yeah.
Have you seen all the stuff of like people killing people in like autopilot, and then people go falling asleep on the passenger seat? Like,
I didn't think people would go on a kip it in the Teslas.
People take the piss.
But you just they were all level 2.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't.
Yeah, because this was another whole thing. Is like, the marketing Tesla do is that good. They've said it's autopilot.
And so people are literally sitting in the passenger seat and just going...
Yeah, people just go, I don't need to be in the driver's seat now. It's autopilot.
Lad, fucking wouldn't trust that, lad. Fuck that.
Crazy, innit? Well, and this is kind of the problem we're getting into at the minute. I suppose this is like an ethical question. Well, you know what? Let's discuss it now.
Let's get into the ethics, but I was going to say...
We'll talk this question because then we'll do a full section on ethics later.
Okay.
So this question, which is like a discussion question now, is... Should false advertising of your self-driving capabilities be clamped down on?
But, like, I don't... Okay, so this is a difficult one. Is it false advertising, or is it idiots who can't read adverts and take information and go, it says here, autopilot. It also says next to it, when with a person in the seat, or... but they just go, ooh, autopilot.
But the thing is,
like,
though, it won't say that, though. So when you buy stuff, it'll be autopilot, we've got lane assist, we've got this, we've got that. The car stops, the car goes, the car drives.
Yeah.
They won't put all the other stuff about the technicalities or be in little text at the bottom.
Well, I thought false advertising is just, no matter the product, isn't.
I know, but the fact Tesla's allowed to call it autopilot. So
autopilot should be reserved for actual self-driving
So for example,
vehicles.
if you fly,
should be assisted pilot maybe.
If you drive,
co-pilot.
That's what I was about to say. If you drive a Boeing 747, you get up in the morning, get the key,
clear for takeoff.
Sorry, love, I'm off to work.
Yeah, no, I'll be in town. What time will you be there? Well, it's 5 to 1 now. I'll be there at like 3 minutes to 1. Where you landing? Because just use Dale Street.
Boom! Took all the buildings out. No, so say if you're in a plane, like a commercial line, you turn autopilot on. That bitch will take off, fly to where it needs to go, and fucking land. You don't even need a pilot.
Does it land itself? Does it? A plane?
A plane lands itself. A plane can land itself. A plane will can take off, fly, land.
Yeah.
And that it can do all the. So, for example, when you see all those people like, oh yeah, I could land a plane, me. If the pilots died, I could land a plane, me.
It could land itself, really.
So, say if you got in the cockpit
and
you put your headset on, you'd be like, SOS, blah, blah, blah. They just go, turn these dials.
Yeah,
and the plane would land itself.
Land
that's autopilot. That's what people's opinions of autopilot is. It works. So you call your self-driving car autopilot.
People will think it's fucking autopilot.
But it's not.
Maybe it should be called co-pilot. You know what I mean? Something like that, where it's just like an assistant who will help you get to A to B. But I cannot believe there's people who are fucking stupid enough to be sitting in the passenger seat of a Tesla, lad, and
mad,
getting it to drive.
It is fucking bananas.
I don't actually believe that. I don't think you're a liar. But like I literally just don't believe that people are doing that.
It's actually unbelievable.
Like, I've seen a Tesla advert at not one point did I think that's safe enough for me to sit in the back seat.
Yeah, that's safe for me to just turn the car on and just hop over and just.
I think it's like I don't think the company then should be calling it autopilot, but I also think it's a bit on the foot of the population just being idiots, lads, and sitting in the back seat, lad. Like,
for me, it needs to be obvious. Like, there needs to be a big thing on that.
Do not fucking.
This car will not drive itself.
Yeah. It will help you drive. That's it.
Yeah, you know it's a driver assist.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I thought that's an interesting.
Yeah.
Kind of convo there.
No, I agree. The company should take more responsibility because people won't take responsibility.
Because there's a difference between marketing and trying to get your product out there and actually confusing people to the point where they think, oh, well, my car drives itself.
Yeah.
Because the amount of people I speak to people all the time, like, oh yeah, this car's self-driving. I'm like, what? The Tesla? And I'm like, what? Yeah, well, it says it's got autopilot. Loads of people say it. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not the same thing.
So, yeah, it should not be called autopilot at all. Yeah.
Because it's a level 2 system. So there was a big news story in the UK. So this is kind of the furthest from a UK point we've got with it. Is the UK have approved a new service in Ford's E-Mac Mustang called Blue Cruise for use on pre-mapped sections of UK motorway. And the reason this is massive is it's still a level 2 system, but it's the first time ever there's been legislation passed to allow a user to not have the hands on the wheel of a car.
So people who have the Mustang e-tron, is it?
E-Mac.
So there's certain roads in the UK where legislation's been passed where they can legally let go of the wheel in their car and police can't bollock them.
Yeah. Wow. But it's kind of a hands-off, eyes-on system, which I don't really get this whole point because then it defeats the. You may as well just have your hands on the wheel. So you can take your hands off and relax, but it monitors your eyes.
Okay.
So if you're not paying enough attention to the road,
it'll scream at you or fucking...
It gives control of the car back, and then if you don't take control of the car when it says to, it puts its hazards on and pulls over.
That's fucking good, like.
But it's mental because then what's the point in not having the system anyway?
Well, the first thing I start thinking about when like legislation like this is coming in is obviously the technology isn't there or the trust in the cars isn't there yet for everyone to be self-driving. So there's going to be this weird 10 or 20 year period where like Some people are in fully controlled cars. Some people are in these like co-piloted cars. Some people are in these like level, or we'll go by levels. Some people are in level 0, 0. Some people are driving level 1s and 2s. Some people are driving 3s and 4s. And then you've got people in level 5 cars. So obviously it's not fully safe to road because it'd be perfect if everyone was self-driving. But you've still got people who are half assisted and people who aren't getting assisted. So like, is that a recipe for disaster on the roads? You know,
Possibly.
where people are.
And then you've got this system which is it allows you to take your hands and your feet off the pedals and that, but you still can't relax and chill out and do
So
other
you
bits.
may as well drive.
Yeah. So you may as well drive because it's you've still got to be there, ready to take over the car.
Yeah, like if you're not. Yeah, if someone said to me, you don't have to drive straight away, you're thinking, well, I'll do something else. But like, oh no, you've still got to look and act like you're driving, but just not touch it.
And do you want the kicker?
Go on.
So, this will be available on the new versions coming out this year.
Yeah.
So the car itself is approximately 51 grand for this EMAC, right? And Blue Cruise is a monthly subscription.
To service to get
Not even taking the piss.
Yeah.
So your car will come with the capability, every single EMAC will come with the capability of Blue's Cruise to drive itself.
But what, like...
But they will turn it off if you don't pay a monthly subscription.
Yeah, that's weird. I wonder why they're doing...
Just, do you want to
if you can already afford a 51 grand
no, car, what they're
why
doing?
not just bang on another grand and let them have it?
Because what they're doing is they want to continue... They want to have a monthly revenue on their fleet. So what the car companies are trying to do now, it's like Tesla and BMW.
Do they do it? Yeah.
So what they do now is they build the cars with like seat heaters in, and then charge you a monthly. So every car comes with the seat heater.
What? They'll turn your seat heater off if you don't fucking pay?
Yeah, they won't let you turn it on.
Fuck off, lad.
Genuine.
Like, my
so
Focus has got seat heaters, lad, and I couldn't imagine someone turning them off on me.
So then
other
basically,
than pay me tenner.
So then basically, you can't own your car anymore because
you
own
part of it's owned by them still. Yeah,
exactly.
The technology's owned by them.
And then the problem is people go, oh, well, why don't you just hack it? Right.
Who do you mean? Why don't you?
No,
just
like you know, like when you jailbreak your phone. Why don't you just jailbreak your car? All right, yeah, sound. So I've got a car that can drive itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fuck with that system.
Yeah, and fucking...
Just so I can have fucking heated seats.
Yeah, it's a weird... I mean, obviously, I see the business element. They're thinking a £90 subscription
that
every month from 25,000 Mustang users, you know, who buy a car this year. I don't know how many people buy a fucking Mustang, but I think if you've got the money for a Mustang, I'd buy something.
To me, that is fucking embarrassing. How can you have a subscription for a car?
Well, it's opening the door to monetize every element of the car in the future.
Imagine that.
You can't put your windows down unless you... Well, lads, that's what it's like.
It's the same principle.
Because I don't think that'll last long, lad. I think if people make that much of a fuss of it, other car companies will be like, yeah, let's not do a Ford.
Imagine this, right? The new selling point of our brand new electric car is that it can drive itself, and we're going to charge a premium because it can drive itself. But if you don't pay extra, you're not getting the service, which has actually made the car a premium product.
And to be fair,
crazy.
I think the fact that it's got that technology is going to pull a lot of people to want a Mustang, especially like tech heads who love cars. But if you said you had to pay an extra £90 a month for it, I think I'd go, so without the subscription, it drives like a normal car. Yeah, I'd just go and get a Porsche. You know what I mean? Like, it's a nicer looking car. I'm here for the technology, and you want to charge me more, I'll just get a Porsche.
I'll just get off, because the
you know what I mean? I'll just get a fucking Ranger. You know what I mean?
And as you say, so and also, if the car crashes, it's still your fault. It's not Ford's fault. So you
even on them roads?
Yeah.
Okay. So does that work? Because your eyes, man, looking... Because you're not touching it.
Mad, innit?
Yeah.
So, not only are you paying 51 grand for this car, you've got to pay a monthly subscription to use the service, and then it's a self-driving feature, self-assist feature, because it's still level 2. That means you don't have to have your feet and your hands on the wheel, but you still have to be looking at the road. And then even though you've not got your hands and your feet on the pedals and the wheel, and it crashes, it's still your fault, and you've paid a monthly subscription for the privilege.
So basically, it's a rip-off of a car. It's a fucking shite car because it's a Ford Mustang.
I love Ford Mustangs, but no, the E version is
modern Mustangs are ripped, aren't they, a bit? Like, old Mustangs are loved. Yeah. Modern Mustangs are like, people don't...
Bit clowny, aren't they?
Bit clowny. So you've done that. As you said, you're paying every month and getting your pants pulled down. And then when your car kills a granny and you're sitting in the car, you get to go to jail as well.
Isn't that the maddest fucking thing you've ever heard?
So you've been bumped with a shit car, you're paying for the technology on it, and you end up in nick for your car mowing a granny.
I genuinely couldn't believe it when I was reading the article. I was going, it was like just getting worse as I went through it.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy, lad.
So yeah, so we've kind of covered the future of the self-driving cars. So the immediate future, we've got the level 3 driving car from Merck, and we've got the tests of level 4 cars going up. So obviously more and more development.
I think the main trend is they're all on these parameterized roads.
Yeah, and I think once they, so that I think that's the immediate future. Is we're going to see a lot more self-driving cars with these boundaries.
So like the M1's a self-driving motorway.
Yeah, type thing.
The M6 for this 100 miles self-driving.
Yeah, so
once you get past Carlisle, get your hands on the fucking wheel.
So I think
like the sign coming up.
Shit!
Trying
to get back in the driver's seat. You're upside down, you're going past Carlisle.
Keep in the back, lad, and you're like, where are we? Shit, we're in Glasgow.
Just heading towards the fucking sea. Shit.
Well, that's what it's going to be like, though.
Well, yeah, so I think that's going to be the segment a bit.
Sorry, you go and kipping yourself driving car at like Birmingham, like you're on your way to Edinburgh. Carlisle's the cut-off point for self-driving. You go and kip, you wake up, your car's just in the fucking lay-by. It's like
it's all pulled itself.
It's just pulled itself over.
And in the end, there'll just be a queue of cars that have self-pulled over. So you didn't get anywhere quicker.
People are kipping them, lads. That's what it'll be, innit? Like,
yeah, I think that's the nearest future. Like, so we don't want to speculate on when proper self-driving cars are coming in, because that's a big thing to speculate on, and it's hard to...
2040.
No. So, a discussion question then is, okay. So we've covered like kind of the facts of what self-driving cars are doing, what the immediate future is going to be. So a discussion question I wanted to ask is, so what do you think, because I have my own opinion on this.
Go on, ask me.
What do you think will be the biggest limitation to the implementation, development, adoption of like our definition of it's a level 5 self-driving cars? What do you think is going to be the biggest challenge?
The human psyche.
Yeah, so that's what I say as well.
Like,
to be fair,
the thing which will stop people using self-driving cars is the human psyche. Like, people won't trust them.
Yeah.
Especially people who have no understanding
of how they work,
or even no trust in AI or machine learning, or like, people have lived lives as loads of great things that have got nothing to do with technology or science, and I think a certain group of people will trust them. Probably people like me and you probably trust them a lot more than maybe someone who's worked as a chef for 20 years. Like, they just don't come in contact with these things.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think the human psyche is the biggest barrier to entry for a lot of people, is they just don't want to get in a car where they are not in control. And I think it's one of the big things where we were talking about this the other day. So flying on a plane is more safe than driving a car. We know that. There's more, well, not more safe. Well, it depends what you mean by safe. But your chances of having a bad collision on a plane are much lower than your chances of having a bad collision on a car. And if you were to say to someone, what would you rather do? Go on 1,000 planes for the next 1,000 days, or go on 1,000 car journeys? Loads of people will pick the car. And the reason why they pick the car is because they're driving it. As soon as you tell them, even though it's a pilot, it's not automated, though, as we explained before, parts of flying are automated, most of it. But there's someone else in the plane, and they're driving it. Because you think you're not in control, people don't like the feeling of not being in control of their own lives, lads. And as soon as you tell them there's a robot driving your car, that's what will be the barrier. Kind of
it's anecdotal evidence from my side, but like... So I have the same opinion on this. I have another one off to the side, but I think this is the biggest one. And I've asked loads of people this question, and there's been one unanimous answer. So the question I pose to people is, so say if driving a regular car, your death rate's 1 in 1,000.
Yeah. You're just plucking a number here.
Plucking numbers out. Say it's 1 in 1,000.
Okay.
So every 1,000 journeys you have a risk
one
of
death. Yeah.
But a self-driving car is like 1 in 15,000.
Okay.
So it's like 10 or between 1 in 10, 1 in 15,000. So it's 10 to 15% safer to drive, right? So my question is, so you know that it's 10 to 15 times more safer, 10 to 15 times safer to drive an electric car, well, being in a self-driving car, sorry. What situation would you rather be in? Would you rather die at the hands of a car where you felt you could alter the situation, or die in a self-driving car where it was a software bug or something weird happened?
Yeah.
And everyone I've asked that question to has said they'd rather be at the wheel.
Yeah.
And I've asked that to quite a few people now, because I believe this. So I was like, I ask most people, and it's always, I tell you what, not everyone actually. The people who've said the other way, the self-driving car, are people who are exposed
to machine learning.
To machine learning, AI, and this space as well.
Yeah, I think, lad, that's a great scenario. If you said, listen, this is a test road and there's obstacles up the top, and you're looking at it thinking, fucking hell, you know what I mean? They look hard to manoeuvre a car through. As you drive, shit's going to be coming at you. Now, the stats we give you, this car is more likely to get through the obstacle. Do you want to get in this car and do it? Or do you want to get in your car and do it? You've got to do one. Or, you know.
Yeah.
Most people will go, I'll just drive myself through it, and then the first obstacle, just go fuck off and die.
Yeah.
Like, I think, even though I think I'd get in my own... Nah.
I'd take my chance.
I'd take my chance, lad, but...
In the self-driving, I'd be like, yeah, obviously.
But I think when it'll be adopted, lad, I think it'll be when there's evidence there that they're safe outside of testing. So, obviously, machine learners, artificial intelligence experts who are working on this science, they know it's safe. They've done the test, you know what I mean? If it ever gets to market, or when it does get to market. But I think what will make the human psyche of the psyche of population go, oh yeah, that we want to all drive self-driving cars. It will be when the first sort of like city implements it. It's always a city in Scandinavia. Like, you know, Stockholm's got 1,000 self-driving taxis, and there's not been one crash into it. Then you'll have idiots in like fucking, you know, anywhere, oh, let's look at self-driving cars now, you know what I mean? But it'll take that type of obvious evidence, like, look how safe this is. But coming out to like the factory, people will be like, no.
And do you want to say what another big challenge that it came to me the other day when I was thinking about it, a bit different to what I thought about before, is that this whole self-driving narrative, it seems very Western.
Yeah, I don't know what you mean by that.
Like a Western civilization problem.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no way on this planet you're going to get self-driving cars in like places like India where there's no roads.
No, you're right.
Or like in some parts of Africa where there's no roads, or like on the Bolivian death road.
Yeah.
Are you going to get in a self-driving car when you can't get two cars side by side together?
Yeah.
Is it going to be able to drive that?
Oh,
no.
But why wouldn't it be able to drive it?
Because so when we look at like self-driving cars, yeah, it's on roads, it's on nice well markings.
Yeah, but who's to say you couldn't train it on data that's similar to the Bolivian death roads? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but like, how many self-driving off-road cars have been trained?
Yeah, no, I know you.
So basically, how do you then get the data set to build that? Because then, if you're driving in the wild, right? In the wild, if you're driving, it's not even that, if you're driving in the wilderness. So a lot of the wilderness, like you say, you're driving through the forest, yeah. You can't pre-map that. Yeah. Because what if a tree falls down? What then?
Yeah.
What self-driving car? It's crazy.
No, you're right. The immediate use of self-driving cars is a 21st century problem. Like it's for the wealthier civilizations who've got great road systems, complex road systems, which can be well mapped out, they're well regulated, they're well parameterized. It is more difficult in places where the road connectivity isn't there and they're constantly changing. You know, one road's used 1 year and then they change it and build another. That's hard to do. And then obviously off-roading is important. Like, is there going to be a time when we've got an off-road self-driving car which can navigate a forest floor? Yeah. You know, when like, you know, the Land Rover self-driving car, but you know, I don't think it's outside the realms of being done. Like, you used to say that you couldn't.
So what I'm trying to say there is like, so we're kind of steaming down this road. So a big challenge then is when people go, well, hang on, where's our self-driving cars? Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I think it's a bit... Yeah, no, I see what you're trying to say, but I don't think it's not as big of a dilemma as the electric car issue in the sense of like globally, because technology's always sprinkled through the richest civilizations first and then got to the poorer ones. Electric cars is a bit different because the richest civilizations are using them and pulling the blame off themselves then for like this ethical ruining the planet, and looking at those countries and saying, you guys are still, but with the self-driving cars, they're fine, still using, you know, controlled electric cars, you know, and they could just navigate a forest with an electric land. There's not that like that passion of the book, but I know what you're saying. Like they could still look at the, you know, but they're doing that for every technology. You know, where's our iPhone? Where's my fucking heated seat? Where's my fucking memory foam mattress? Where's my pair of Nike? You know what I mean?
Yeah, memory foam mattress.
Do you know what I mean?
Of all the things to pull up. No, but I see what you're saying.
Do you know what? Like, I don't think it'll cause as big of a stir as like we've got electric cars with the self-driving thing, because it's just technology, and technology in the end trickles down, which is unfortunate, but it's the way it is.
So I think, and a good point now then, before we move on to kind of the final piece we want to finish on, which is kind of the future, the ethical implications of it. It's basically just cover some of the benefits and drawbacks we've kind of found. So I think some of the, like, I've kind of put them together to kind of summarise this self-driving car bit, is that in general we'd probably get safer roads.
100%.
Yeah.
No fucking idiots behind wheels screaming at you for doing the right thing because they've done the
put
fucking
you
wrong
up.
thing. Yeah.
Save money, so reducing risks, saving time means saving money.
Saving time is a massive one.
Yeah, so obviously you can still do things whilst you're driving.
Yeah,
so if you need to go a long way.
Man. No one wants to be stuck in traffic with your hand on a wheel. People want to do stuff, you know what I mean? Sorry, just on the time one. Imagine going on a 5-hour journey in a car that you're on your own, so you've got to drive it, but being able to get like 3 hours of work done, or being able to watch the match, or being able to...
Changes everything, doesn't it?
The game's changed, man. Yeah.
And then another one is like the eco-friendly and eco-driving of it. So say if you introduce... So I thought about this, and it's just a logical thought process where you get there. Is say if you introduce self-driving cars even on petrol and diesel cars, say if they were all self-driving, you reduce the risk of harsh acceleration, harsh braking, just constant driving all the way around, so they drive more eco-friendly.
Everything's optimised.
So you have that side, and then
the optimisation of a self-driving car allows the economic efficiency.
And then if we live in, so as you say we have this full city where say no one owns their own car, there's just a service where it's like an Uber, and you just hop in the car, it drives you, you get out, and then you pay for a thing. So you don't own a car, you just have these self-driving cars driving around the city.
Crazy thing, man.
So that's environmentally friendly because you reduce the amount of cars needed, and you reduce the amount of space needed to park the cars, and all the rest of it.
Because everyone has their own car, but not everyone's on the road at the same time.
Exactly. So imagine you just have this.
I haven't thought about it like that. Imagine if no one has a car on the path. And like where you go, I'm going to work, and it's like there's just a car parked off around the corner because it's not, and they have these bays with just rows of like.
But then imagine an Uber app on your phone. You just go, right, I'm going to work, boom, and it just pops up to your house, drives you to work, and then off it goes.
But there'd be problems with that because it'd have to be the same price as running a car to work. Because people would say, "Well, I want my own car then because it's cheaper."
But then
I'm not paying taxi price every day.
But then, say if you live, so say for example, you live in a city, parking's horrific. In some cities, it can cost thousands to park your car.
Still cheaper to get a taxi than drive and park.
But then, say you've got to buy the car. So say in London, or say these cities in the future have these like really ultra strict, like
driving
no emission zone, and they charge loads. And then you've got to buy 50 grand for an electric car. Over the course of so many years, you probably save
still
money.
Low, lad, that visceral, like, hand 20 quid over right now, people, like, nah, fuck that. Even if they've spent more money on their own car, that, like, we need 15 quid, you've just been took to work, it's like, fuck, 15 quid for this? Do you know what I mean?
I don't agree. I think everyone should be able to run that. But anyway.
I'm just imagining it, sorry.
No, it's quite a
utopian
vision, yeah. Then you've got some of the drawbacks on it. So,
no more handbrake turns. Is that on there?
Exactly. So, fun of driving will decrease.
It's a big one. Lads,
dicking around in a car sometimes when you're on a closed space and there's no danger to the public. Lads, fucking clashes.
no, and we've got into this a few times with technology. I think we talked about it with ChatGPT, like getting rid of some things. Just you lose a lot, man. With fun and just like the beauty of life. Like I couldn't imagine a more mundane thing than if there was just these like self-driving, vehicles which pull up your house and they all have the same colour and you just get in them.
All the same interior.
As you get out, it goes, thank you. And like you get out, what I mean? Or you get a little text that says, thank you for using Liverpool's self-driving fleet. Like my dad loves cars. If you said to him, everyone's getting rid of the cars, Dad, and we're all getting these self-driving.
He'd be like, nah.
He loves cars, lad. You know what I mean? He goes to car shows to see other people's cars.
Yeah.
And like...
So the enjoyment of driving is part of the fun of owning the car.
He likes talking about cars with people. He likes going, oh, you've got a 2004 fucking blah, blah, blah. It's cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like...
Then you've got the higher R&D costs associated to it. Like, so... You can't just make a new car at this point. You've got to say you've got a further self-driving car. What then? So the cost of building, maintaining, and buying these self-driving cars will go up, because then if your car's got fucking 300 sensors on, well, some of them are going to break.
I wonder as well how many cars are going to become obsolete over the next 50 years because of changing technology. So you've got the big group of cars which we know are going to become obsolete, which are petrol and diesel over the next 30 odd years. Still going to be allowed to drive them over the near future, but I would imagine there's a point when it's like, okay, private collections on private land with your own petrol store, not on public roads anymore. So it's all electric, and then in self-driving catches up, and if it's quick enough, it's like at one point, okay, no non-self-driving cars, now everything's got to be controlled by a self-driving car. So then you've got this big fleet, but like it's never happened before where like it's become a group's become obsolete. Like cars have just developed, and the oldest of oldest cars have still been usable.
It's still a car. It's still essentially.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Way,
but like quite quickly we're gonna, unless we allow every car on the road, but we've talked about that in a self-driving system is at its safest when everything is self-driving. So yeah, I don't know.
And then we move on to the drawbacks, which fall into this kind of ethical kind of debates, which we want to move on to, because we think that's a big part of what we find interesting about the self-driving cars is the ethical one. And the big one, I think, to start off with, is that self-driving cars can get it wrong.
Yeah. And
then you've got the whole question of, well, what do you do when it gets it wrong, and
who's to blame?
Who's to blame?
And
how are these coded? Like, because at the end of the day, these cars are just ones and zeros. People who coded these cars up.
It's a computer.
How do you code ethics?
You can't, because humans can't write ethics down either.
And no one can agree on a standard set of ethics. And also, and then this is another point. What country you're in depends on what ethics are acceptable.
It's what country you're in depends if you kill the child or the granny.
So what is it? So self-driving cars now are going to have different software packages per country.
This is one of the reasons why it's going to take forever, if not never. They're never going to be implemented if this conundrum
can't be solved.
Is never solved, and just literally thinking about it from the surface, you cannot see a solution, because I think, well, just to explain to the viewers, like the self-driving car conundrum is you're in a self-driving car on a road, you don't control it, you're just sitting in it. Now the car's come up to a junction or whatever, it's run into a bit of trouble, and it's now got to swerve off the road. This is the simplest of examples.
It is in a situation where something like
has happened.
It's a crash is going to happen, and someone's going to get hurt. Like something fucking weird has gone on, and
it's got to pull off the road, or it's got to stay where it is.
Something's going to happen.
And the famous example is: do you pull off to the left and kill the young mother with its child, or do you pull off to the right and kill the old retired couple? And like,
or then
there's so many scenarios, but the car has to make that decision because there's no decision outside.
Or then, does it kill the people inside the car?
Or the third one, is it you just go with the collision and kill the people in the car? Now, the people in the car are probably saying, no, fuck that, pick one of the other two. Do you know what I mean?
So this is something which will have to be, like, you'll have to put these rules in fucking code. You'll have to write these down as logic.
And then people would say, well, is there a way to make it completely random where it's just every time it's a random outcome? But people were like, fuck that, we don't want to leave it to just like letting the car be random.
But you wouldn't have it be random to the point, like, I think...
Do you know what I'm saying? But people would, like, how do you even encode that? You know what I mean?
But then the problem is you couldn't have it random, because then at some point you could just randomly throw up and just go fucking kill everyone.
Yeah, or...
Because if you were having it random, that would be one of the options.
Yeah.
One of the options just be, right, let's just fucking have everyone then.
If it was random, one of the options would be world domination. The car just turns to a transformer. Like Optimus Prime's the fucker. And just Bumblebee comes out. Well, there's a new Transformers coming out.
The shit films, anyway.
No, but it's a mad one, like, who... And then that leads into the other argument of, okay, there's these cars have got to make decisions about life and death, or about serious injury or not serious injury. Okay, so now we know that there's engineers, software developers, mathematicians, data scientists behind the scenes encoding it. Are we just all giving them the power to make the ethical decisions? No, I think everyone would agree, no, we're not giving these 300 people who work for this fucking company the ethical power of the world.
The problem is you can't just give one company the power, because then...
Or even 10 companies, you know,
but then you'd have... Yeah, but then you'd have different ethical standards per country.
Right, what Ryan said before, you go to Bolivia and they prefer killing the people in the car. You go to the UK and they say, whenever there's a scenario, we tend to go for the younger stage group at risk, or... and then in other countries, like, we like to, you know, go for the elderly. Then you've got the old, if you run into a problem, is it okay to pull off and kill an animal and save the human? Or there's people out there who'd be like, no, kill the human. It's just, no one aligns ethically. So to get that into a car, unless you've just going to disregard people's ethics and say, listen, our cars do this.
And then the
problem, you know what I mean?
Another point people raise is, well, self-driving cars are safe. So that one in... You know Google's cars on about before? What the fuck's it called? So it's got a proper wanky name.
Oh, don't wonder.
Waymo.
Waymo.
So the problem that's had 2 crashes in its 1 million miles it's drove.
Yeah.
And they both weren't its fault. There were people going into the back of it. And most of its minor collisions, which don't actually count towards car statistics, have been people crashing into it, like when it's stationary, or they've been at night and people haven't seen it. So most of the literally most of the accidents that happen with these
are because of humans.
But the issue you've got is that, yes, these seem safer, but there will come an eventuality where it goes wrong, because tech goes wrong. AI is never 100% right, no matter what people tend to think about.
No,
it's going to get it wrong.
It can nearly be 100% right, but there's that eventuality
so you have to
where
have
it will be wrong.
You have to have these things where they're like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like hardcore, fucking right. If this goes wrong,
this happens.
Emergency protocol, boom, this what's happening.
But it's just like.
But then who sets that?
Yeah, I can see in 30 years' time, like a news article, like individual is charged 30 years in jail for the murder of a pedestrian in a self-driving car, because there's a term and condition in the self-driving car company that if we lose responsibility, but then it's not fully self-driving. So then if you blame it on the company, it's like, oh yeah, Merck killed 300 people last year.
But then,
you know what I mean?
But then who at Merck gets punished, or is it just Merck?
You just punish the company,
so does
and
that
that's how
mean
you
that
get out
all
of
the
it?
people? So say if someone puts out code and it's wrong.
Yeah.
Say even it's accidental, you can kill someone accidentally on the road, and you still get done for.
Yeah. Is it like?
So is it the company's fault? Are they civilly liable, criminally liable?
Is it like? Do we treat this like how we treat doctors? Where if malpractice is as evidence for a doctor having malpractice, it's like someone died under the knife, and it wasn't just because of chance or they had a weak heart. You didn't carry out procedure properly, and
it'd have to be. But then, who's going to take that job?
No, then doctors still become doctors.
I know, but then that's like, yeah, I suppose.
But there's the weird one where, like, because medicine is quite well. Well, I suppose you would run into this issue because before you put a car in the market, it has to be tested to the death. So you'd get over those like scenarios where problems would happen, you'd be able to iron them out, and then if it ever did happen, you'd have to look back at the. But how would you know as a coder that you coded it wrong, or
exactly? Or how do you know something mad happens, like James Corden decides to do a fucking flash mob at Zebra Crossing? Has the camera ever seen a flash mob? Does it know what's happening? And then does it shit its pants and do something mad? I suppose
the difference is, Belly, is if you were a doctor, when a mistake's made in a surgery, I would imagine usually be quite aware that the mistake was made. Like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Because it's something they've done over and over again. A coder, if they've made a big mistake, the main benefit they might have is the car might not have crashed yet. If you've opened someone up and fucked the surgery up, they're dead on the table, that car might not have crashed yet, so there's that opportunity to go, we need to stop those cars moving,
but then we
need to get back into this code.
But then, is that equivalent to people being done for dangerous driving? Just because you didn't cause a crash?
Are you dangerously coding? Yeah.
What you did was, like, you could have caused a serious incident.
I think
so. Then that could... It opens this whole box of worms, isn't it?
It's...
Well, Germany are kind of pushing the way on this, aren't they? Because they've already passed laws basically saying that all human life in self-driving car context is equal, so that the car and car companies can't code to prioritise one over the other.
Can't prioritise children over elderly.
It's just you've got to protect human life is kind of the aim they're saying.
Yeah, well, that's a nice thing to say, but what happens if there's a binary outcome where someone's got to die in order to save the other? Like, how do you prioritise human life there?
I suppose it's a numbers game then, 2v1, baby.
But do you know what I mean? Like, it's... I probably haven't read into it enough to
give
to fully
understand. The nuances.
Give it the nuance it deserves. But like, it's okay saying, you know, our legislation now prioritises human life. I think most people, even the biggest animal lovers, if you said to them, like, you know, if the outcome was protect human life or protect animal life, except for absolute like animal lovers, most people would say, okay, save the human.
Yeah.
But that's... Yeah, I mean, I don't get that statement, because there's outcomes what a binary where someone must be injured.
I get it from the point of you're putting it out there now that, right, we're quashing the debate that you prioritise young.
There's a human's more worthy than another human.
Yeah. So we've quashed that straight away. So let's worry about other ethical questions, which I think's kind of a nice way to do it. In that
it's the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, and it's one of them ways.
It gets rid of that argument.
It gets rid of that argument. Also, everyone you've got to find a solution that doesn't involve, right, we'll go that way. There's got to be.
Because imagine if it was like an age thing, like if you're over 75 in a self-driving car, you're less prioritised than a younger person. So it might, if
you'd be terrified to go out the house.
Yeah, and if it like knew, okay, the elderly person in this car's in the back right hand side. If anything happens, we swerve to the right to get rid, to save the people on the chassis of the car who got more protect.
It's bad.
So it is. I think they've done the right thing by saying, listen, 1 month old or 100-year-old, these are the same.
Like
quality
humans are humans. Like
humans are human, and it's going to be unfortunate. But that's what's so complex about ethics, because my inner mind says that older person should die. If you're 100, you've had your life. It's awful killing a 1 month old. Yeah. Do you know? Like, it's straight away you disagree with it and go, I get why they've done it, because it simplifies the argument going forward and allows them to move forward. But if I was an 88-year-old person and someone said, you die, or a 2-year-old child, I'd say, listen. Even as a 26-year-old, I'd say, listen, kill me. I've had 26 years. Do you know what I mean? Like, it would be unfair to kill this child.
It's mad, don't it? But that's an answer coming from someone who's quite
full of shit.
No, like a lot of people would go, yeah, I'm still alive. I don't know that kid.
You couldn't kill a kid,
lad. Some people don't give a fuck.
Like, you would look at me different. You would look at me totally different if we were in some scenario where it was, you can live, Sam, or this kid can die. And I come out of the room where, like, this weird scenario happened and I said to you, I'll let the kid die.
Yeah.
You look at me and go, you should have died in there, lad. You know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't have come out.
But that's because we're, like, normal, sensible people. There are not... The society, as is well documented, is not full of normal thinking people. But yeah, I think we've rabbited on quite a lot there. I think a couple of other ethical things that we'll close up with, just to round off, is job displacements that'll come from self-driving cars.
Yeah, we've hit on that point a few times in other pods.
That's a huge ethical problem, which I don't think as a society we're anywhere near remotely geared up to solve.
I think the jobs that self-driving cars will replace is a small cog in the big wheel of job displacement that's going to happen over the next 30, 40 years.
Because people say, oh, it'll bring in highly skilled jobs, but then what do you do with people who aren't highly skilled?
Yeah. What do you do with people who... Yeah, like there's things that me and Ryan will never be able to do because we're just not intelligent enough.
Yeah.
So, and there's people who can't do what we do, and there's people who can't do what they do, and then there's every population. I know people don't like to hear this. There's a bell curve of everything pretty much, and like you've got really intelligent people, and you've got really unintelligent people, and you've got everyone in the middle. Now, unless coding becomes or unless machine learning becomes really simple, which it might, stuff like ChatGPT, we don't know, then you're putting the trust in ChatGPT. It's so complex. Imagine if ChatGPT was coding up self-driving cars with just prompt engineers. if it done everything.
Oh yeah, you just got rid of coders, and it's like, right, okay,
so it's
OpenAI.
A prompt engineer asking OpenAI to code up this bug in this self-driving car. Now you've got like 3 in the wheel, man.
Lad, it's not even worth thinking about.
No, but like it's easy to say, yeah, there'll be more jobs coming, but I don't think there is, man.
And then another one, which is, it's kind of sci-fi, but it's worth talking about, is the fact you've got all this personal information now, and all this information being collected by self-driving cars.
What's going on with you? Watched it.
Give me people. You've got all this information going on with that being collected with self-driving cars, and with companies now being able to drive and know where you are.
Yeah.
People are going to want to hack that shit.
Yeah, we've talked about that. Yeah, it's another point of vulnerability. It's another information bank which people can access, adversaries can access. You've already got problems with China, looking at TikTok and invasive algorithms in these social media platforms. Imagine if there was adversary countries looking into each other's vehicle data. How does the average American move about? How does an important, like if you could get the vehicle data on a presidential car, or the government vehicle fleet, or there's a lot. It's a new information bank which is accessible, and I suppose these are becoming available in every point of life now because so much is becoming digitized and data's getting collected on it. But it's something to think about. It's another avenue, and I know it's a bit like Fast and Furious. Like, I think when people think of like accessing car information, they think of someone hacking into a car and crashing it. But lad, it's not outside the realm of possibility.
If there's something online,
it's hackable.
People will want to hack it.
There's a way to get in.
Yeah.
It might be a really fucking difficult way,
but people will find a way.
But like, it was the guy years ago who got into what was his name? Cambridge Analytica. They got into all like, what's the Cambridge Analytica story?
Oh, that's not hacking.
Is that not hacking?
That was just, it was basically social engineering through social media, basically.
I'm forgetting. Is it Edward Snowden?
He wasn't a hacker. Well, he was a hacker, but he was working for the NSA.
Okay, my point is, it's hackable.
Oh yeah, well they had
people inside the companies, maybe.
Oh, yeah, they had people. Like as you say, Edward Snowden. Was it Edward Snowden? Yeah.
I think he was on the inside and released a load of info.
He was saying like the US had like bits of code to shut down power networks and everything.
So imagine if someone inside a car company accessed car information on whatever they want to get it, and it's like. It's another information bank which is dangerous in the wrong hands. And I suppose the last point we're on the ethics is, and it goes to just ethics in general, is, do we blame, as we were talking before, do we blame the engineers, the coders, the individual in the car, the company? Putting blame to someone insinuates that someone is righteous and someone is unrighteous in the sense of ethicals, like who has the good ideas and who has the bad ideas. But who knows who has the good ideas and who knows who has the bad ideas, and who decides who the person with the good ideas is? As far as ethics goes, it's an impossible solution. It's a circular problem. You just come back to the start each time, and then you go around the circular loop of solving an ethical issue again.
The thing is, we are going to break out of that circle, and we're going to have answers to these questions, whether we agree with them or not.
But that's not an answer if you don't agree with them.
But
an answer's a fact.
It's still an answer.
Well, it's a bad answer. It could be a bad answer.
An answer doesn't have to be a fact. It's just an answer.
No. we usually base things on things that are true unequivocally.
Yeah, but this is something which that will never be able to happen.
That's what I'm saying. It's a circular issue.
Yeah, but then it's not going to be.
They'll eventually make it a line and say this is it.
Self-driving cars are coming because people are putting money into it. So someone's going to come up with an answer in this and just run with it.
Yeah.
I
wonder if philosophically, if an issue is a circular issue, I wonder if you should really be snapping that circle at all ever. I wonder if humans are going down scary routes, man.
But then that's the but then now we get into the point of scaremongering, like people shitting their pants over ChatGPT, going to take over the world.
No, I know what you mean, but that's not. I don't think that's as circular as a self-driving car. It doesn't seem as impossible to get out of.
No.
The ethical loop in that one. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well, that's been, again, another one of the big things.
Big think episode.
It was a good episode. Let us know your thoughts on self-driving cars. Let us know what you think the biggest challenge is going to be in the upcoming.
Would you get in a car with no driver that was going to take you to town on your night out with your boys or your girls or whatever? Would you do it?
Would you do it? Let us know. We like hearing your thoughts on it. If you did like it, leave us a like. If you didn't like it, stop ringing me. There's also an option for that as well.
Who's belling you, lad? I'm going to shout them out now.
That's me bird.
Hannah, I'm telling you now, girl. Fucking leave my man alone.
But yeah, so if you liked it, leave it a like. If you don't, as you say, there's a button for that as well. Let us know. Yeah. Either way, we just want to know. Keep keeping on, man. Keep keeping on. Keep fucking hell. Keep keeping an eye.
Why have you gone all like
I can't speak, man.
Showmany today. Like, keep keeping on, everyone.
Keep keeping an eye on the socials to get updated when they have the new episodes. We've got some good stuff coming. Agony Ant episode 2 is coming up in a couple of eps.
Yeah, man.
So if you've got any questions, throw them in. We'll make sure to answer them.
We've had a few, haven't we?
Yeah, we've had a few. So we'll answer them. But so you've still got a couple of weeks to get them in. Let us know and we'll be more than happy to answer them for you. So,
that's it, Billy.
That's it from us and we'll see you in the next one.
Peace out.